Look at that cash.
Good morning.
Waxed and ready to talk interest rates.
Yeah. Wow.
Ooh, so excited. What's up? What's up, guys? How's it going?
Feeling like shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What is it today? Is it emotional, physical, existential?
All of it.
Oh, cool. Nice.
It's been physical, adding on to my usual existential and emotional dread. It's like yesterday I felt so garbagey and I don't know why. I was like, I felt like I did like 40 lines of cocaine in the morning and I was just like,
oh, nice.
Like working and like no appetite. And then I got like sick from not eating. And then this is what I ate yesterday. A piece of toast with peanut butter on it, 3 club crackers, and a sweet green salad because I literally needed to feed my body something with nutrients in it.
Well, that's your problem. You're on keto.
I'm on keto.
You got to get off the what's the beach diet? What was that real popular diet?
South Beach.
South Beach?
Atkins.
You got to get off the Atkins, man.
I got to get off Atkins. I got to just get rare steak every meal of the day.
Stop Atkins, man.
I know.
On the one hand, when you eat from home, you eat a club cracker and a jar of peanut butter. And then on the other hand, if you eat from work, you're eating 4 Chipotles a day. So
exactly.
It's like you can't win.
No.
And they expect you to go shopping for healthy greens and to keep it around.
Multiple times I went into my like cabinets and I was like, do I have anything that I could eat that's not going to make me puke, that's not going to make me like also feel really sad about myself, like these fucking club crackers? And I didn't. And so
their problem is you're doing either 4 Chipotle burritos in 0 club crackers or 4 club crackers and 0 Chipotle burritos. So you need to do 2 and 2, balance it out.
Yeah.
I know you haven't. I mean, we're going to be talking math today, so we'll get to some of the complicated things like that. But
good.
That's my diagnosis.
I'm going to need it.
Anyway, did you read it? A weekly pod about the internet by way of right at the front page of the internet. My name is It's Your Dad.
I'm Dog Boobs, repping my favorite musical band, Nirvana, today.
Whoa,
Who gave you that shirt?
Keys.
This is one of my favorites. I got it from Urban Outfitters.
Cool.
Of course. Cool. You are a walking example of what everybody hates about why they do this. They just put up a band and then you get it and go, I've never heard of this Nirvana.
Nirvana? You know why I love it? It's a fucking massive sweatshirt.
I love it. And Free Day. I don't know if you introduced yourself.
My Free Day out here at the studio. Hey, I'm rocking our Roadcaster setup today. I wonder if you can hear it. Does it sound good?
Sounds fucking great. Sounds
I got
awesome.
a regular microphone. I got this board. Check this out. Can you guys hear that?
Nope, can't hear it.
Heard a button press.
You can't hear the clapping? Okay.
No.
I have our soundboard. but I guess
I want to get that soundboard running.
I guess we'll plug it into the StreamYard, but
yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it sorted out again soon. I mean, we are all vaxxed now, so I think that we can go IRL.
We could
again soon.
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
That's not how vaccines work. Oh. No, I've been doing some recon on the inner sense. And
the inner sense.
And the inner sense. And so do you guys know about the Space Needle?
And of course. Where Frasier lives, right?
Yeah, Dad, you know about it. Yeah, where Frasier lives.
Yeah,
Space Needle. Sure. No, a lot of people think it's part of this whole 5G conspiracy, but it's not. It's actually just going to open this portal into an afterworld.
Cool.
And that's where Gaia lives. And so we'll have to, it's been on now, and that's Bill Gates built it. It's because of why he lives there. And so expect to see him going there soon because all the trouble he's in. So it's all basically. He's going to be moving on. That's where Jeffrey Epstein went, and that was what their whole deal was about, was creating a portal together to get to the afterlife.
Wow.
All right, cool.
That's why I'm going to move to Seattle next quarter. So
damn,
love it.
I
love
cash
you know,
out my
and
stomps.
you know why we're talking about quarters. Why our new measurement of time is quarters instead of days, years, hours, or minutes.
Because
GDP,
4 quarters equals
homie.
$1. Just kidding.
Woo!
4 quarters equals $1, or that's when investment cycles happen. Because
Oh yeah.
today we have a guest. We don't know anything about this guest. So the way this happened is our pal, I'm gonna just call him our tight buddy, Jack. Yell Twin from Seattle can confirm Gaia is based in Seattle.
Shit.
Can confirm. We got a woman on the streets. We know it's happening. Anyway, so we got a kid named Jack joining us today. We don't know anything about him. He hit me up out of nowhere, emailed us, did the thing I ask everybody to do. He's the only one who did it. And now he's on the pod. See that pattern?
We did. And then Dad just forwarded me an email from him. I didn't ask any questions to you or to him, and I just booked him on our pod. So, and he will be joining us today. And then Dad goes, after the fact, man, I hope he's not like a neo-Nazi or something. And I go, I didn't even think of that. So he totally could be.
We have to learn how to cut the feed if he is.
Cut the feed.
Cut the feed.
If we do if we have a live suicide on this pod, I'll be shocked. It'll ruin half my morning.
Pretty powerful.
That would be pretty powerful.
Let me see if I can find some fun color bars, a color bars video that we.
Do you know the Native American guy one, the classic? It's like the old TV one that they used to use. Just Google that. It's weird. I don't know the history behind it. It's like a Native American man in a Chiefs gear.
Ooh, this is. I have a 12-hour color bars video that just popped up. I don't know if that's exactly what I'm looking for, but an option.
Oh, wow. Well, it's probably good to have that much time if we need it, you know?
Yeah.
Just in case.
Boom King. Bless up. Boom King and Yell Quinn. I love it. Love them both. Anyway, so before we talk to Mystery Jack, and we are going to be talking about investing with him, we don't know if he knows anything about investing. Investing is a colossal sub. So we might just start talking about investing and then go, that was our fake investing episode. We're going to do another investing episode later. But the reason we're doing investing is because he hit us up because he's like a young like financial
whiz kid
is how he kind of like fashioned himself. So we were kind of like whiz kid, neo-Nazi, furry, just a Zoomer, TikTok influencer. We don't care. Come on our podcast. We'll talk to you about it.
Literally, disclaimer, any financial advice you get on the Did You Reddit podcast is not our fault.
Immediately transactional. Transactional.
You got to deal with the fallout, okay?
That's what
I dealt with the fallout when I bought one Peloton stock 6 months ago.
Oh, boy.
It didn't go anywhere. You guys have to deal with it, too.
Anyway, also as a quick aside, I will say that when I went on the Abe Lincoln's Top Hat, I joined. They don't do a live stream broadcast. It was just a recorded thing. But I joined, and immediately I get on. I'm like, "Hey guys, what's up?" You know, and Ben Kissel goes, "Hey, what's your name?" So I think this is a little bit of what we're going to be experiencing well with Jack. But before we get to that, though, I thought we would kind of go back to old format style, do a little bit of a front page review.
Love it.
So I don't, because Reddit is owned by the fucking Chinese Republic of China now. And they don't have any cool stuff on the front page. I thought we should actually do our own homepages.
Yes.
Because it tends to be a little bit more revealing. I was going through mine last night just to see what would happen. And some of the things that were popping up, I was like, I don't know why I'm subscribed to that.
Yeah.
why am I involved in this culture that I don't know about? So
I love that.
I subscribe to all of mine. Like when I find a new sub, I subscribe. Do you do kind of the same thing?
And 100%. I mean,
just because, and then it's there forever, and you never ever go back to it twice.
Well, I have a colossal issue now with mine. Like I have just like way too many subs I subscribe to.
Yeah.
and it's a problem, right? And so I have. I mean, I think we've kind of gone through this exercise before. Oh, let me just tighten that. There we go. Nice. We've gone through that episode before, and like this is. I mean, this is my. Let's see. So when I go to loading subreddits, it takes it almost takes minutes
Wow.
because I'm subscribed to so
Wow.
much shit. Yeah, look at this. Like loading subreddits may take a few seconds, and we're at what, like 20 seconds
Jeez.
now, something like that. So we'll
What's
see what
this an
happens. when it comes
equivalent
together.
to? I mean, like, what's your
There we go.
bookmarks in your just regular Chrome browser look like?
Look at this. Look
Holy
at this.
smokes!
Oh. Hey, yeah.
Still going. Still going. Yeah, so I'm probably subscribed to. I would say I'm probably subscribed to 500 subreddits, maybe. Which is not a good usage of the platform. Don't follow my lead. But it does make for some interesting things that pop up in your front page. So let's go through it. I also have noticed that every time we do a sub, it ends up populating on my front page. I think because it knows. Yeah, exactly. Save this for later. Never goes back. I mean, that's my bookmark philosophy too. My bookmarks are like horribly disorganized. I have a huge problem with it. I can't figure it out.
Yeah. Dude.
So right now on let's go my top of this past week. Go back to the old format. What do we got? We got my $20 bill has a serial number 1 on it. That's pretty interesting, actually.
Whoa.
Wow, that's actually fucking crazy.
It's
Do
the
you guys?
first.
I don't really understand how circulation of bills work.
Yeah, hell no. I don't understand anything.
Do. Let me tell you guys about how money works. First of all, I have no idea. But
first of all, no freaking clue. I have no.
I know there's a paper mill in Western Massachusetts that makes the paper for the dollars, and a guy I went to college with, my old roommate, lived in that town, and he said it smelled weird because it was like a pulp town.
Oof.
It was big pulp.
Big old pulp.
And apparently it's just it's a tricky thing to make. You got to make it. It's got to be counterfeit free.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. And then it goes to the trash.
Interesting.
That's disgusting.
And if you worked at Disney and you drew those dollars, you'd put some like boners or some tits on it or something, right? Like a little.
Yeah.
I would make it illegal to not do that, actually. I mean, one thing. I mean, this is the big narrative in our world right now, and this is not. We don't really need to get into it because I mean, fuck, it's just the thing. Israel and Palestine is really taking a turn.
Yeah.
For the worse, it seems.
Yeah.
What's happening? Did they finally solve it? I haven't been paying attention.
Well, I did hear that over 100 celebrities have urged peace in the Middle East.
I mean, finally. How has it not happened then? That doesn't make any sense. Are you telling me? Wait, hold on. So they've urged it, and we still don't have peace in the Middle East?
No one listened, apparently. Again.
Ugh, man.
That's just crazy. That just seems irresponsible from the leaders. And you know what it is? It's irresponsible by the civilians of Palestine and Israel.
Yeah, when is Hamas
not dealing with enough right now, of course.
When is Hamas going to start really letting TikTok videos soak in to their military strategy? I just don't understand them.
I mean, I think it's probably soon, quite frankly, because I think that's actually been one of the things that's starting to change a little bit of the face of this war is the fact that there are now Palestine is starting to have some very influential like Instagram accounts and shit.
That's really interesting.
And
to show what's really going on the streets, kind of thing.
Well, that and
almost like the Arab Summer sort of. God.
I think that we are. I think that I was trying to. So the term the global South. I think the global South refers to, and I could be wrong. This is where our idiocy really shines through. But the global South, I believe, is a term for like developing countries in the global system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I could be wrong, or it could literally mean the Southern Hemisphere and the countries that are primarily in the Southern Hemisphere.
I googled it fast.
Nice. But when we think about like the cop, like ACAB, fucking fuck all cops are bastards, right? I think that what has been happening over the last couple of weeks is Israel almost feels like the Israeli military feels like it is the cops of the global world, and the global South being a version of that. But it feels like we're having a similar conversation around cops and people of color as we are with the Israeli military and the Israeli state. With
That's an interesting
Palestine,
connection.
Right?
Yeah, that's an interesting connection. And like,
And
I have, for the past, what year is it? For the past like 5 years, I have been sticking my head in the sand for my own emotional survival. But all joking aside, like what's going on over there is horrifying and like
truly horrifying.
It's definitely like, I know it's a super controversial issue, a lot of like passionate arguments on both sides, but like I feel so bad for like those poor people, poor Palestinians living on like the Gaza Strip being bombed out of their homes. And not to take it to a too serious side, but I just wanted to say it's a serious issue, and like it's really fucked up what's going on.
It is like a big thing on Reddit right now. That's why I brought it up. It's like on Reddit specifically. We are seeing tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of posts about it, and you know it's coming from all sides, and it's interesting because, I mean, Reddit is funny because it has a lot of control over the content. But I think it also just kind of like listens and watches, right? Like it isn't like it created the GME thing. It just like happened, and then it made it kind of blossom.
Right.
And I think
feels like a psyop to me. Feels like a psyop.
Could be a psyop. But I think that Israel is much more powerful than Palestine in basically every possible metric. And the fact that I don't really see a lot of pro-Israel stuff on Reddit, I think is kind of interesting. I think it's that Reddit always feels like the people's platform.
Yeah.
And I think that because it's the people's platform and feels like the people's platform, I think we're seeing like the people's topic really come through. And I think that it feels like it's a pro-Palestinian place.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that it is. And I mean, I personally am very I don't know if I'm pro-Palestine, but I'm pro two-state solution. However, more than that, I'm fucking deeply anti illegal Israeli settlements and occupations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, I think, the thing that's like the most fucking bullshit thing. I mean, it's also like the reason I bring up the ACAB thing, I think, as it pertains to that, because it's actually quite interesting, is that there's also like the global, if this feels like a global gentrification conversation too.
Yeah, that's a great point.
The same thing we see in America with like, new neighborhood pushes out old neighbors,
encroaching on
culture, all that stuff. I think we're seeing it for similar reasons in Israel. Now it's similar in capitalist reasons. It's very different in Zionist reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody in East Los Angeles is like suddenly taking over land because they believe it's their statehood.
Right.
But they are doing it because they need to put in a new.
Could make the argument,
right?
Yeah, there's more pool backyard.
Yeah, there's more pools when we just want to swim.
Yep.
So give us that diving board back.
Both equally dumb reasons when you really boil it down.
Reasons. But as we're gonna debate with Jack later on this episode, one is a dumber reason than the other, because communism rules and money is hard. Yeah,
Money's
Nirvana.
Hard. Nirvana, as Nirvana would say, money is hard. Boo. Right?
And to bring it back to some
yeah.
American sacrifice and some American bomb outs, I just sent you guys a top post on my page.
Ooh. Here, this one's mine. Let me stop my screen so you can throw up Freed's.
Mine. I don't have a sharing ability. It's not on, and for some reason I cannot do that.
Oh.
Freed always just goes full analog. He emails it to us. He emails the wrong
registered
thing.
mail. That guy should be showing up any second now.
Yeah, wait. Text it, and I'll pull it up.
I did. Yeah.
I have it pulled up. I just have to like kill my screen, and there we go. Pull it up.
Okay.
We're dealing. This is just a goof. But
This was great.
And it was also the other one too, which was
the other one,
which was more
right,
more of the comp to people in Palestine getting bombs dropped in their head. People in America are filling their Hummers up with gasoline,
there we go,
and lighting cigarettes next to them, and then lighting their cars on fire because we have a gas shortage out in Pennsylvania on the East Coast, which is like such a good. It's like a good parallel world thing. Like here in America, like we're so wealthy and we have so many. Maybe I don't know. There might be like a lack of problems compared to like missiles coming up your ass butt.
Yeah.
So,
dude, the top comment. I'm starting to think some of these apocalypse movies depictions are too optimistic about how people would handle things. I just watched Greenland last weekend, which is about
that movie's sick.
It's so cool, man. I love how Gerard Butler doesn't even hide his Scottish accent in it. That's my favorite part.
Really?
But
Jerry Butler.
Jerry Butler, got to get my son and my wife over to Greenland. It's
pretty good.
It's good.
I don't think that was a Scottish accent, but that was a pretty good. Whatever accent that was.
Well, it was, and I'm the expert on accents, so
it was more leprechaun.
Don't challenge me ever again. It was a leprechaun-y, I think. But
you're like Amy Adams from that space movie where she's like the language expert, and they have to call you up to talk to the aliens. Yeah, they're like, God. "Oh, dog boobs, the aliens are here. We need somebody who can finally nail their accent so we don't offend them." It's like, "Oh, I'm the one. Let me wake up."
It was some shitty like NASA recruiter on LinkedIn who like didn't look at my experience and just reached out, and I was like, "Yeah, I actually would love that position to talk to the aliens for the first time."
Hello, aliens. How are you?
we heard you on the podcast that you do about memes and GIFs and we think you've got a real talent. We want you to be the first contact for the aliens.
Oh, aliens!
You see, we really need this.
we don't need accent, or we don't need different languages. We just need different accents.
Actually, brings up a really, really important topic.
We're pretty sure that the aliens are either going to be Australian or maybe Irish,
or maybe Mrs. Doubtfire,
or maybe Mrs. Doubtfire.
What? I mean, what language, what accents do you want to throw at the aliens because they're here? So it's actually a very important question.
It is an important one.
We're not putting that up.
This is, it's interesting you say that, but I was talking to actually a little inside scoop, not really inside scoop, but I was talking to our pal from Reddit, Will, the other day, and
shout out Will.
We were just shout
out networking and net with. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And so we were talking some random bullshit. I don't know what it was about, but we were talking about kind of the future of what is going to happen in the year 2021, 2022, whatever. And I always say we're heading towards a new world war because that's what happened after Weimar Germany, which I have one use case, but I think it's very possible.
Yeah. But he had the Roaring 20s. Yeah, the greatest.
Roaring 20s. He had mentioned aliens, which I'm kind of like, dude, like we are like every fucking couple weeks we get new alien news that is just they just toss it over in our direction and then we move on, right?
And then no one says anything.
And I actually think that it's very possible. Man, this is an unbelievable headline. I think it's very possible that aliens come down. They're legit aliens. They don't really look like anything, and then we kind of go, yeah, but they're probably not. And then we just continue with our news cycle.
Yes.
Like, I think it's very possible because it falls into that world of, I think that if Jesus Christ were to happen again, or Muhammad, or anybody, right? We just lost Dog. I don't know where she went. Video just went off. But I think if any of that kind of stuff happened, I think it's very possible that, we just kind of go, yeah, but, and then just move on, right?
I think you're right. I think 92% of people would just go about like, the daily problems and stresses they're dealing with. Some people, a very small percentage of people will treat it like cryptocurrency or like something new and weird, and they'll get made fun of for it. And they'll get rich off of it, of course. like, and everyone would be like, man, I should have invested in that alien stuff like 3 years ago. You know, there'll be early adopters into the alien world. Hopefully we'll all be one of them. We want to get on that spaceship.
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get into this. This headline though feels in a lot of ways much bigger deal than Israel-Palestine. So
I think
this is
so.
the greatest
This is big news,
headline.
guys.
I don't know, maybe in the 20th century.
Yeah, it might be. This is on
This is from
Trashy, the Trashy subreddit.
R/Slashy. I'm an idiot.
Slashy Trashy. And it's a picture of a very remorseful looking woman in a small town street. Woman rode motorbike naked, got fingered in the street, and punched a blind man.
Oh,
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
I love
What happened?
You don't see too much chatter about getting fingered these days.
No, getting fingered feels like some like
It's like 90s stuff, guys.
it's like not it's 90s stuff. That's we are living in their life can be divided into two very unique segments. There's pre Adam and Eve and post Adam and Eve, right?
That's a
And we are living
point.
in a post Adam and Eve world, right? Where fingering just feels like fucking boring, dude.
Yeah.
Let's finger somebody when you can give them like the highest tech fucking Vag Blaster 6000.
Exactly. Like, who even has fingers anymore?
Who even has fingers anymore is what I'm saying.
Stupid.
Cut off your fingers.
Cut off your fingers if you care.
Get a dilder.
Let's
see
what we got here on the rest of this topic.
This top comment. Did the blind man finger her? Maybe he was just trying to read her.
Wow, that is
gross.
This is an insane Reddit.
That is a diabolical blind man, and I don't want to throw the blind community under the bus here, but diabolical.
No, throw him under the bus. Fuck the blind community.
Throw
him under the bus. They deserve it.
Podcast. Anti-blinders.
No, they listen to the pod. They may not watch this live stream, but they listen to the pod.
For all we know, the blind community are the only ones keeping us afloat right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You for that.
But there's got to be a couple creepy blinds out there that are using their blind as like
like don't worry, I walked into the girls' locker room, but I'm blind.
Right.
I didn't know.
Oh,
I can see using the walking stick as like a little like let's pull up that skirt a little bit type thing.
Wow, let's not be an ideas podcast for creeps. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right.
And,
every blind person listening right now, forget everything I just said.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to plan ideas. But quite frankly, this is all functioning under the assumption that the blind people we're talking about aren't actually blind, which means that this has nothing to do with the blind community, and this is solely to do with the seeing creep community.
Yeah,
which
that's a good point.
I also, for all we know, they also could be keeping us afloat. So I don't want to disparage them either. But
they're also friends of the pod, for all we know.
Also friends of the pod.
Shit. So this comment chain, this is pretty funny. So, did the blind man finger her? Maybe he's just trying to read her. Someone responds, he was reading her lips.
Oh, God.
Then someone says, I read this to my wife thinking I was being witty while riding the comments coattails. Then she told me that lip reading is for the deaf, not the blind, and now I feel stupid. And then the best comment.
Very true.
But if she has genital warts, it's reading Braille.
Oh
God! I hate Reddit. Reddit's the worst.
I'm glad he went there. I'm glad.
He went there, but Reddit is the worst.
It's one of those comments. It's a comment that needed to happen because everyone was thinking it. Right? I mean, come on. Let's just
look at this one. Ooh, this is a little sus.
Hot news on conspiracy. This is where you hang out, Freed. We are looking at right now. This actually might be breaking news.
This is undeniable.
17 hours ago. I think we're probably the first major news publication to break this story. Prince Harry and his mother Diana's riding instructor. Thank you. Come on.
Yeah. And this next horse jumping position is called you straddling me on my back in the middle of Windsor Castle. In the middle of Windsor Castle.
Oh,
Jesus!
Can't even believe it. So this is a picture of Harry and the riding instructor side by side. Fucking spitting image, guys. What's going on?
I mean, the nose, the lip, the upper lip curl,
Yep.
The shape of the
eyes. Yeah.
Uncanny.
I'm sorry.
Ooh.
And then when you look at how all
Obviously
of the fucking recessive genes that have conglomerated in Prince fucking Charles, and you're like, that is not this kid's father.
And the general wet blanketness of both of them seems pretty high. They both seem like a couple of I don't know, pushovers.
Yeah.
I look like we kind of really did the exact same thing that the actual conspiracy comment section was doing. Look at the noses. Riding instructor, lol. A bit on the nose in it. I love this. I mean, it's great. Who gives a shit if it's true, but it's fucking awesome. I mean, that's also what I was gonna say. I mean, I love that this is right now. This was posted 17 hours ago. We're sitting at 16,000 upvotes. Give them one more from me.
Yes.
In conspiracy, I can just imagine all the conspiracy nerds on there who are just like post QAnon, who are like, QAnon is the tip of the iceberg. You guys don't even know how deeper we get than QAnon. And then they see this thing pop up and they're just like, guys, let's not get distracted, please. Like, we do not need to focus on this. And people are like, yeah, but look at the nose, though, man.
Look at the nose.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Noses look the same, guys.
We got a pedophilic cabal running the streets, and you guys are trying to tell me that Harry looks like a goddamn riding instructor? Yeah. Who fucking cares?
Who fucking cares? He's not even in the royal family anymore. But look at their lips. This reminds me of this photo comparison from a few years back when people were like, guys, I think we found who Khloe Kardashian's real father is. Because
wait, who is this guy?
It's a good question. I kind of forgot who this guy is. Who is he?
This guy's a handsome guy.
None other than hairdresser Alex Roldan. So, first of all,
I thought I knew an Alex Roldan.
I know. Tell the truth. He does your hair still, right?
Always has, always will.
Always will. So this picture came out a few years ago. I think it was before Khloe started getting her face rearranged really intensely, which more power to her.
Doesn't she?
Yeah, like I'm all for like whatever kind of surgery you want to get, like go for it. But I saw a recent commercial with her in it where it was for some pharmaceutical for her psoriasis or some shit. And I literally turned and stared at my room. I was like, who is this? A new Kardashian? Like, she does not even look like she doesn't even look like herself. It's very, I know I sound like Hoda right now, but like that was shocking. Anyway, so that's now.
Hoda sounds like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This was pre-plastic surgery, so you can really see the similarities between Mr. Roldan and Khloe in the nose.
I love that this is we went from what is kind of objectively two handsome ginger men. Yes. So just the best of British genes.
Handsome,
right?
Yeah.
We look at those two and we're just like, man, like you know what? I don't give a shit about the British family, but they look great. And then we go over to like fucking
this is a pudgy Italian hairdresser that might have had sex with Kris Jenner. I don't know. Oh,
I'm gonna stick up for Italians here for a second. That guy looks like one hell of a lover. I will say this.
You're not wrong.
That riding instructor, a little pasty for me. Okay, his skin feels sharp. I don't know how else to say it.
I feel like this. I feel like this is
would be good in
the
bed.
kind of guy. This guy reminds me of the guy in Vegas that I just saw. My Uber driver. I was moving locations from somewhere to Old Vegas, and he was telling me about why he wasn't going to get the vaccine and how much money he made last year, and he just kind of has that. He kind of has that like Alex. What's his name? Alex Roldan.
Yeah, I think Alex Yep, Alex Roldan. I got to remember because I got to get my hair done.
Alex Roldan. Well, I mean, if he's sexing up the Jenners, man, I mean, you're paying at least at least $80 for a haircut. I mean, that's
Yeah, I know. I mean, shit, $80. That's fine. Did you guys know in Los Angeles to get a woman's haircut and color of any quality is going to cost you about $500?
That's not true. Are you for real?
It's true.
It is apparently true.
Yeah.
What in tarnation?
What
Wait,
in tar fucking nation?
Are we talking haircut and color? Or are we talking like
Yeah.
You have to get them both?
Well, no. I mean, literally, I can't afford to get them both at the same time. So one month I'll get a cut. Because, like, the worst thing, I'm sorry, let me let you in on a little thing about women's hair. If you go spend $500...
A perfect segue because Jack has now joined us in the green room. So
perfect.
This is going to be talking women's hair straight into young entrepreneurship. Is actually going to be a perfect segue.
It's like the perfect segue. Okay, so if you get a haircut and color for $500, they're going to color your hair first, and then they're going to cut it off. So you just spent all this money to have like this part colored, and then they're going to be like, chopped it off, and you're like, cool, all that dye that you just
why do they do that?
I don't fucking know. Probably to cheat you.
Sounds like a cheat to me.
So
sounds like a real conspiracy.
Yeah, my tip is get your hair cut, then wait for your next paycheck, and then get your hair colored.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go natural, man? Let your hair be the strange conglomerate of like blonde and brown that it was always meant to be.
I mean, that's currently what's happening. So
we've been using the Korea clip during COVID. It's like it's a Korean clip system. You basically clip it onto your hair and just cut along a line. It apparently works great and saves you bucks. And I think you're
is this made only for infant males or is
let me know. Is this for the kids?
This is for adults. Yeah. All the women in my world were using it.
Good tip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I think you can nail it.
Wow.
We have videos on YouTube to back you up.
This sounds pretty close to the Wayne's World, the
flow
suck
beat,
and cut. Yeah.
Suck and cut. It's very similar. Yeah. It's
nice.
Like a bowl. It's a bowl cut, but a little bit better. It's an evolved bowl cut, essentially.
Interesting. I mean, Korean people are objectively attractive and have really nice hair. So I think that if what you get out of using the Korean clip system is Korean style hair, then I see no problems. So
yeah, and a record deal. So
a record deal. Love it. All right, perfect segue. All right, so we're gonna pull Jack Rosenthal out of the green room into the Did You Reddit space. Jack, welcome to Did You Reddit. What's up, young man? Can you hear or not hear us? We can't hear you, which may be a miking system. That's fine though. We'll keep. Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Trevor is just on one right now, huh?
Oh, this is actually a new troublemaker named Ruth.
Oh, you got another one.
Yep.
Oh, look at this little demon.
Yeah, she's great. She is great. She's very
cute.
loud. Yeah.
I can. I would. You know what that dog needs? I think that dog needs a Korean cut system.
I think you're right.
I'd like to get sponsored by the Korea clip, and it's not Korean clip; it's Korea clip.
Oh, Korea.
Now, what they did was lose a letter somewhere. I'm not sure where.
So is it incidentally embraced by Korean people, or is it?
Yeah.
Is it a?
Yes. Not incidentally. I think it's from there. Korea clip.
Cool.
Let's check this out. I think it's CREA clip. Definitely a potential sponsor for us. We definitely want to get in with them early. Invest all the stonks.
Holy shit! Yeah.
They're very baller, I would say. I used this once during COVID.
Oh. Was that when your hair was looking really cool, like Mad Max-ish?
I started with that, and then I just gave up and just started cutting, and then it got
cool.
Yeah, it looked really like cool. I escaped from one of those heroin clinics in Dublin.
Interesting. I mean, I actually just scheduled a haircut. This is good radio, by the way. I love talking haircuts.
I do too.
Our guest, for all the listeners out there, our guest is having some technical difficulties. Was here, went away. Maybe he had some big trades he had to make real quick. We're not sure.
Probably.
He's a trader. So I just got an appointment with a place called like Leather and Nail or something. It's like a men's salon, and they have which this sounds fucking disgusting, but maybe awesome. They have manicures and pedicures as well for men.
I like.
And when he was, and it wasn't a Jack is back in the green room. I'm gonna pull him in a second. It wasn't like a masculine. It would have been more funny if it would have been like, but bro, they're not like some fucking wuss like pink pedicures and manicures, dude. We don't do that fucking bullshit, dude. This is like fucking shit. Dude, we're gonna put in MMA and you're gonna fucking sit there and you're gonna fucking try to fight somebody that's sitting beside you. But he was very like, he kind of did a little bit of that without all the fucking heavy aggro Joe Rogan energy. He was just like,
don't worry, bro. You're not gonna feel like a pussy.
Yeah, it was not. But he was like, this is not a like. A like, he didn't say feminine, but he said, I don't remember how he worded it, but it was,
like this is not a traditional manicure. You're going to have rusty
like
fucking like K-bar knife used to cut your cuticles.
K-bar knife. Yes, exactly. And but
I go for the feminine energy myself, but
they also have a thing. This is not an ad for them, but we're gonna fucking keep promoting them anyway. I've never even got their service. It might fucking blow.
You never know.
But they have a subscription service, which I thought was quite interesting. $80 a month, which sounds expensive, but it's actually not that expensive for what it is. Where you can get 2 services from them for $80 a month. That could be a beard trimming, that could be a fucking haircut, that could be a pedicure, that could be a manicure, that could be just going there to hang out with the bros and watch a fucking game.
Dude,
$80 for that.
Dude, $80 for that part though.
Hey man.
Yeah.
I paid a lot more. This is why we have Jack on our sub right now, is because we are bad with money.
We are bad with money, Jack.
So anyway, all right. So we are going to pull Jack back in, see if his audio works. If his audio doesn't work, we're going to try it again. Jack, what's up? Can you hear us?
I think we should be good now.
Oh, I love it. Jack.
The lighting is even better than the other room, so it's better.
You were back talking about haircuts, and your hair looks fucking great.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Trying to keep
successful,
fresh.
Man.
Yeah,
I love it.
Jack, out of the gates, we don't know much about you. We're a little bit nervous that you're going to become some unhinged psychopath that's going to be talking about money all day like a Mad Money kind of a guy. Tell us about yourself. What's going on? Welcome.
All right. So the quick who is Jack Rosenthal in like a minute. So I wrote these 2 books. This one over here. And
already
investing.
Insane.
I'm 18 years old. I started something called the Young Investors Club, which became the largest teen investing club in the country. I have my own investment portfolio. First started trading stocks when I was 8 years old. Been on a couple of other podcasts like this one. And I have a YouTube channel. Anyway, that's everything there is.
Man. Wow.
That is really, so cool.
And your books are called Teen Entrepreneurship and Teen Investing. And what's your YouTube channel called?
The YouTube channel is called Jimmy Duke. There's a reason for that. I started when I was under 18 and my parents didn't want my name out there under 18. So I went under this alias name and I just left it under that one ever since.
Jimmy Duke sounds like he drives.
It's a cool name, right? Isn't it a good alias name?
Awesome name. Yeah,
it's a very cool name.
I love that. Dude, what was the first stock you bought when you were 8 years old?
Someone literally asked me that question yesterday, and I honestly can't remember.
Damn.
But I don't know. It was some small cap company. I don't really remember the name. Maybe it doesn't even exist today. But
it wasn't like Nerf guns or something like.
No, I don't even think they have a stock. I think they're a private company.
Well, they should.
I think you're right. I think they might be owned by Mattel actually. So I think their stock is technically Mattel.
Oh.
Which I
think I know.
could do relatively well. So Jack, I'm going to try to pull up your actual sites and stuff so that you can reference some of those things as well. But we're going to, so the format of this podcast, of course, is we like to talk about Reddit. We don't do it. We try to talk about a subreddit and then we like wander it off into like women's hairstyles out of nowhere inexplicably. So we don't have to be super focused, but we do want to talk about r/investing because r/investing is a smash. And I think that particularly as I think probably you're like we are kind of in this interesting heyday right now of like everybody is talking about investing. I'm having all of my friends hit me up about investing shit constantly. My girlfriend's like, have you heard of Doge? Like, what should I get some Doge? I'm just like, Stop.
My
Stop
dad
right
is
now.
still
Don't
Too
do
talking
what
late.
you're doing.
No.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. My
The
dad's
market
talking about
has turned into
Bitcoin.
one giant casino, pretty much.
It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. And so I think that one of the interesting things about Reddit's take on investing, and let me actually pull up it, is the fact that people glorify losing, which I don't know if that is your stance. Presumably it is not. But I do think that there's an interesting thing about being a teen and young investor, and the fact that so much of the world of investing right now is like YOLO meme stock energy, even with real stocks.
Especially in your universe on Reddit where you guys are.
Oh
hanging
yeah.
out.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, you're totally right on that. You hit the nail on the head. Like, you've definitely identified it. There's this huge movement now. I feel like 10 years ago, it was entrepreneurship was like the movement that
Yep.
young people were getting involved in. Now it's
100%.
investing. It's like cryptocurrency and the stock market. Everybody thinks they're an investor these days. The market's been going up on a bull rally ever since like the last 10 years. So basically anyone who's put money in the market has made money no matter what you invested in. So everyone feels like they're a genius. Cryptocurrency is going up like 1,000x, 100x. So all those early investors, anytime there's like someone who makes a lot of money, it drags in more people who are interested in investing in the company, or more people investing in the crypto, and then it pumps up the price even higher. It just keeps on going and going.
Yeah, of course. Especially if they're perceptually young. Like I think if people think that they're young, then it's really easy to be like, I just made my money by investing in Tesla, and people are just like, I'm going to do that 10 years late, right? And then it like doesn't work well, right?
Yeah,
and I think that we are definitely seeing that.
The biggest thing is like, investing in Tesla, investing in crypto, like people are treating it like it's a career. Like, it's not a career. Like, my brother's like, oh, I was telling my dad, he's like, oh, I made like 1%, last week, or 1% yesterday. If I just keep doing that every single day of the year, I'll make 365% of my money, and and this could be my job. And I'm like, and then of course the next day it goes down 1%. So it's not really a job. It's more of just, I think a lot of young people are looking at it like a casino, kind of like I said earlier.
Yeah. So do you have a little brother or a big brother?
Little brother.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I was like, is he following in your footsteps and you're giving him the wisdom, or?
I don't know if he would say it that way. I don't think he would want to admit that. He's not really interested in investing or anything like that. He's like every other kid. He just does this for fun. He's mostly a football player. I got a much more of a passion for it.
Right on.
Okay.
Hey, can you tell us a little bit about your like day-to-day life? I mean, I think we're gonna get into investing definitely, but I just kind of like, where are you? What do you do? Are you currently 18, or have you aged? Was that
currently 18?
Yeah, you're not 37 now. You didn't write that book 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You're a young man. What's going on in the young man space? You're a teenager, guys.
I know. I'm still a teenager. So that's why my book, Teen Investing, still applies to me, but for not much longer.
It'll be weird when you're pushing that when you're
window that you really have to.
I know. I was like, we were talking about that with this person. They're like, well, after like 2 years from now, you can't let that book be part of your brain anymore. It's not going to fit you, which is like very annoying.
Right.
Anyway, so what's a day in the life look like for me? Well, let's see. I invest during the day, but that's not really like a career. That's just kind of something I do on the side. I run a business, so I run that business during the day. What else do I do? I try and go on a podcast like this a few times a week.
Amazing. So when you say you run the business, are you talking about, do you run a financial services business, or do you run an advocacy business?
No, totally different. So I run a business, which is a marketing business. Totally unrelated, uncorrelated to investing. Investing is just pretty much where I take the profits from that business and then invest it. I've run this marketing company for 2 years now. It's social media marketing. So essentially, I'm a kid. I got a great angle on social media that a lot of businesses don't have. Businesses come in, hire me to run their social media, and I outsource that to a team. And that business I've run for 2 years now.
Dude, God.
Nice.
You know what I was doing 2 years before I turned 18? Working as a dog groomer at Petco.
Hey, at least you're working. A lot of kids aren't even working.
You know what? You're right. But I was soggy all the time.
And where are you based? Are you based on the East Coast, West Coast?
Based in New York, yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
So you're also, I mean, this is interesting too, because I think you're in do your parents invest, or are they in that world? Is that how you did it?
So my dad is in the finance world. But like I said, like I think 100 kids could have grown up in my same family and 99 of them wouldn't have any passion or interest for investing. I think it's just because I was kind of like born with this innate interest in entrepreneurship and investing. But yeah, my dad is in the finance world, so I'm really lucky. And instead of having to go to like, online or something like that, I could go to him, especially when I was younger.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think there's something interesting about growing up in New York too, where I think New York's culture is so built around a lot of the like what you have to do to succeed. If you are trying to be in a business, you get to watch business happen as both a transactional system and a lifestyle, right? Because you just see those people constantly,
Definitely, and just the mindset is like definitely bigger. Yeah. Like, I mean, making $100,000 a year in New York City is like considered like, like how are you living on that? And then making $100,000 a year out in the middle of the country, you're like a king. So it's just like a totally different mindset. And because of that, because there's these higher thresholds, everyone's expected to work harder. So then it's like, well, the hardest working is even higher pressure. Just a lot of pressure, a lot of competition in New York. But that's why you see a ton of successful people come out of it.
You brought up a couple interesting things I want to ask you about. That like the world of investing seems extremely immense. Like to try to ingest all that information in a week or a year seems daunting. The fact that you started at an early age is you're sort of by the time you're in your mid-20s, you've been in it longer than most people. And I think a lot of investors are getting into it in their 30s and 40s. And so by the time you're 30, you've been doing it for 15 years. So I guess my question is, like, how important is it to sort of start young and early to just sort of understand how the mechanism of it all works, just to become familiar with the language, if you will? I mean, to me, it feels like learning a language. And the younger you start, the better you are about speaking it, the more competent you will be about, navigating the landscape.
Yeah, totally. So my biggest advice and recommendation there would be specialize. Like, don't feel like you need to learn everything about crypto, stocks, large cap, small cap stocks across different industries. Choose one industry, choose one equity tranche, whether it be like preferred equity or common stock or bonds or whatever the case may be, and then choose a certain kind of sector of them and just study and go all in on that one sector. And that's when you can really learn something, and that's when you can have an advantage over others. Trying to learn everything is just impossible. I mean, every company puts out at least 1,000-page investor letter every year, and that's every company. There's 5,000 or 2,000 companies in the stock market plus a bunch of other companies. So trying to learn everything just isn't practical. Try and focus on a few things and really learn those things.
Cool. Yeah. Good advice.
Dude, that's nice. Okay, I have something that I've always been curious about. What is like the minimum number of stocks for a company that makes it worth it? I literally was like, I'm going to buy one Peloton stock 6 months ago. And I was like, I watched it for literally 3 days. 3 days, I know, don't judge. But I was like, this is pointless.
How much is a Peloton? What is the share price?
Oh, God. Well, I don't know because I sold it.
Peloton's $95. Yeah, well, okay. This is the thing about money, and this actually has to do with teenagers. So all the time, teenagers are starting their Robinhood accounts. And listen, I could get some bash for this, but it's my opinion. All the time, teenagers are starting their Robinhood accounts with like $300, $500. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, if you make a 10% return on $500, that's $50 a year. That's $5 a month. Less than that, actually. $4 or $5 a month is not going to get anyone, even a teenager, excited about investing. So that's why I always say for teenagers, like, you got to start with a little bit of money first. You have to work a summer job. You have to start a business. I would say you should start investing with at least $5,000. That way the interest on that will be enough to actually keep you interested and keep you engaged in the stock market. So like Peloton, like you shared, $93 a share. Yeah, if it goes up 10%, you made $9.
Yeah.
Okay, pay for some lunch today. So it's the same thing with a teenager. You got to start with this kind of minimum amount to actually keep you excited about investing, and tons of ways to get that as a teenager. You can work a summer job and easily get that much at the end of the summer. Not to mention, you can work during the year. You can work on weekends. Tons of different ways to easily earn that much money in 1 year of high school.
Yeah, you can like rob your neighbors if you need to.
I mean, or better yet, I'm sure if your neighbors, they have a nice house, they got a nice car. I'm sure everyone knows like someone like that on the street and wash their car, cut the grass, and you can make the money from them without having.
That's a better idea.
Than robbing them. I don't know, man. So I also think that there is. So I have probably the most experience in trading of the three of us. I would assume. I started trading probably a decade ago at least at this point, and it was like probably similar to how you suggest with people. I had like a small, it wasn't E-Trade, it was Charles Schwab or something. I think it was called Options Express at the time, and I was doing stuff, and I eventually, it was so exhausting and mentally taxing because it's just really hard to not want to check it all the time that I have since shifted all of my assets over to a financial advisor who just manages everything. We have calls every once in a while. I'll talk about systems, whatever. And generally speaking, I find it a lot better. I do kind of miss a little bit of the rush, and I've kind of now pulled some stuff into cryptos, which is like, good and bad, I guess. Mostly in like Ethereum, which I think is just the most consistent, the most transactional, yada yada.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that I remember going through this experience, which is a little bit of what Dog is referencing now, where the way you think about how your money works in investing is fundamentally different, where if you lose money, you kind of have to just like suck it up and wait, technically. I mean, unless things really, really kind of bottom out. Like I remember the worst version of this I had was GoPro, because I bought some GoPro stock right before a big meeting that they were having. And it was actually right when the first wave of police shootings happened. And I was like, dude, they've got to get the government contract. Like, it does not make any fucking sense that they wouldn't be trying to get this government contract for police cams, right?
Right.
And they didn't go in that direction. Stock fell out. But that was just an example of like, made a bet, missed the bet. But usually with something like Disney, Nike, Amazon, whatever, every once in a while it'll dip for a little bit, and then it just goes up. And then over the long term, you're like, holy shit, I made 200%. But in the short term, you're like, fuck, I lost 20%. How do you talk people out of getting scared out of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, Warren Buffett says some people just shouldn't own stocks. And I'd say my brother is probably one of those people. He just checks the price of his Dogecoin, which I believe is worthless. Anyway, every day.
Everybody's brother's like that, by the way.
That's exactly. He's never had any interest in crypto or stocks before. All of a sudden, his friend tells him about it, and he's interested. But yeah, he checks the price every single day. He's so angry when it goes down 5 cents. Super ecstatic when it goes up 10 cents. Tells the whole world he's a genius. I shouldn't be picking on my brother too much, but anyway, he's representative of a lot of people, and I think that some people just shouldn't own stocks, or should just do what you did with a financial advisor, where they can just handle the stress for them. But I'd say most people, my recommendation for teenagers as well as young adults is put all your money in the S&P 500 and just wait and don't touch it. That plan will be good for almost like 90% of people. Warren Buffett says that after he dies, he's going to have almost all his money from his charity just go in the S&P 500. That and Berkshire Hathaway, his company. So if it's good enough for Warren, it's good enough for the majority of America.
And he's an interesting. It's interesting that you would say that as somebody who is 18, knowing that Warren Buffett has kind of been the like model of how to invest for a long, long time. Why do you hold him in that level of esteem versus somebody else that's kind of like a new age, new generational version of a good investor?
Yeah, well, I think the fundamental principles that Warren teaches about companies still remain the same. I mean, a company today it looks the same way as a company did 100 years ago, whether the company 100 years ago was selling telephone lines, now it's selling Apple computers. But the fundamentals of the company still look the same. They still have cash accounts, et cetera. So you can learn from a lot of that stuff. I also think that there's a lot of hype and a lot of arrogance from these guys that have made a lot of money in a short period of time over the last 2 years because they made a lucky bet on crypto or something like that. But that doesn't by any means make them a long-term genius. Warren Buffett's strategies paid out over 30 years. So I think it's looking at just the whole time horizon of how long they've been successful and how much success they had, as opposed to just some of the newest guys, which have made a lot of money in a quick period of time. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to hearing some of the more recent guys. I don't know. A lot of the crypto billionaires strike me as a little bit arrogant.
Oh yeah,
I got
deeper.
I got a question per the teen of it all. I mean, very much in this space, I'm officially an old guy now. I have a kid, so I wear rubber shoes. I wear rubber. I have 2 kids. I wear rubber shoes out in public. And I'm like, and I don't give a fuck, you know. Which I think is endearing. But like, you know, what I tend to see now with social media, and you work in social media, so maybe you can sort of speak to this as well. But like, you know, it seems like younger people like want to be flossing super hard, and like the flossing lifestyle seems to be like it looks like it's accessible to everybody now, and it seems like people are getting sold this bill of goods that's like, yeah, you can have a boat in Miami and a Ferrari and like be flossing like Jake Paul with all the chicks and popping bottles. And I'm like, and does that translate to young people going like, oh, I want to get rich like quick too. I'm going to invest in a bunch of dumb shit on the internet and then not get rich quick. And then the depressing like sort of realization is, oh, I should have just like steadily earned money and got really good at a skill and then got maybe rich when I was 32, like how it should be. What rich at 32 would be a good problem to have, right? So like, are people being marketed this like false lifestyle, like younger people specifically? And like,
well, I mean,
investing's taking advantage of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's existed for a long time. I mean, as far as the guy with who's on the Miami boat with a bunch of chicks around him, that guy has existed for like 30 years. That
hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
I mean, there's like this old. I remember there's this old Asian guy like who used to have like these infomercials. It'd be like the same picture of him, be like, "Follow me if you want to get rich," and then put the phone number at the bottom.
That's
He's
a time old
still out there.
Yeah, that
pitch,
same like kind of pitch has been out there for so long.
Bilzerian, baby.
Yeah, Dan
Big money in
Bilzerian.
Vegas. Yeah,
I know, and then he's got his problems lately. His company's
huge,
went down
colossal
like
problems.
Yeah, I know. It just shows you, they're only on top for.
But I guess social media seems to have exacerbated the access into people's pockets. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, it definitely has. I'd say my guess is at least like half of like the crypto kind of trading social media is responsible for. An influencer posts about the crypto they have, or these pages posting about crypto, or all the comments, or all the TikToks about it, whatever the case may be. That's got to be responsible, at least for the young people, at least like half the people getting involved in it. I mean, obviously it has a huge influence on the way people buy products, on the influencers people follow, on the styles people follow, and of course now the investments that they make. Social media is influencing it all. It's like in the past days or the old days, if a village, everybody in the village was doing one thing, like that was just the thing to do. Now social media has kind of become like the new social system, and because of that, people kind of follow what they do on there. So yeah, that's definitely contributed.
Surgeries, ass jobs, getting a Gap credit card to buy a boat in Miami, probably all bad investments.
Yeah.
Do you accept Gap credit for this boat?
And one more thing I was just going to comment on, because of social media, and I think because of like, the ads behind it, I think the personal development industry has really gotten very big, and I think it should be regulated soon. I've seen it just feed on just the weak people. I mean, it's like very sad. Like, I mean, people have nowhere else left to turn in life, and then they buy like a Tony Robbins CD course for $500. I find that like very predatory marketing, and I think that needs to be regulated more. And social media is definitely not helping with that.
I mean, it's fascinating saying that as an 18-year-old, as a 30-year-old pretending to be an 18-year-old, by the way, because I do not understand.
We're on you.
18-year-old thing. But because I think that is when you think of young 18-year-olds, anybody kind of in your age demo, I think there's a lot of like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed energy. What you just referenced are the people that I know, that we know, who are now or going through that, who are just like want a career change, don't know what to do. They buy the Tony Robbins, they start selling Tupperware door to door, right, or whatever, right? And so I think it's interesting thinking about it through the lens of a teen seeing that and understanding the predatory behavior of it, because it just feels like that's a very obvious. I mean, you hear this all the time. Obviously, that's a very prodigious perspective on how that works. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So another question. So I want to hear a couple other things about you really fast, and then let's move on to the sub. We probably have about 20 minutes left, so I think that talking a little bit about some of the hot topics.
Do kids still keggers? That's what we want to know.
So first of all, are you out of high school or are you in college now? Are you going to college?
A freshman in college. Just finished my freshman year of college at Babson.
Cool. Where are you going?
I go to Babson, so it's about 20 minutes outside Boston.
Right on, man.
Amazing. And then
that was a Zoom year. We're assuming.
It was not a Zoom year entirely. We went on campus during the year, but we took classes from our dorm room.
cool. Sounds
Good.
depressing.
That's more fun than being
But
that.
at least you get to meet people. You get to meet people. So like, you know,
Good.
a dorm and
That's
that.
good.
That's nice.
Good.
Yeah.
So I remember being, oh God, I can't even fucking believe I'm saying this sentence. I remember being your age, right? And I hate that I said that, but this is true. And I remember people telling me, because I had a ton of energy and I was doing so much shit, and I was a little bit like you in the sense I was just doing tons of things all the time, and I was very ambitious. And I remember my aunt saying, "You're gonna burn yourself out." Like,
Sounds like somebody gave
relax.
up on their dream.
It does sound like somebody gave up on their dream. Do you hear that from people? And what do people say when they say that? Or what do you think and what do you say when people are like, "You got a ton of energy, kid. The world's gonna fucking beat you down. Like, I just don't wear yourself out. Don't burn yourself out."
It sounds like move to New York City if that's your personality.
Well,
right?
that's part of why I'm saying that though, is because I think that New York City has a reputation for the people that we know who have lived in New York. Like Frida, your wife is one of them, right? It's like the city is wonderful until it's not, and then you're just like, I gotta get out of New York, man. I'm tired, right?
I think
all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay, I think I got to answer your question. It took me a second to think about it. So the majority of like adults that I meet, and yeah, I'm calling you guys adults. You guys are now
We're adults.
We got rubber
Not
shoes.
shoes,
We're
that's
wearing
for
rubber
sure.
shoes. We're talking about hair.
The majority of adults, like almost all of them, super encouraging. Like, you know, whenever they see me doing investing, entrepreneurship, or on podcasts like this, nothing but like positive messages, because I think they're kind of more mature and like in a better headspace. But I'd say not most, but some teenagers probably are not encouraging, mostly because they kind of think, my guess is what they're thinking is like, I'm sitting here not doing much during my day. Jack's doing a ton during his day. I'm jealous of what he's doing. I'm jealous of, you know, people talking about him online, him having books, whatever. I'm not really doing anything to myself, more of a reflection on himself. Anyway, so because of that, they're like, well, I'm going to reflect my anger of me not doing anything at Jack. So I'm going to encourage him like not to take action or not to do stuff, or he's working too hard, or that idea will never work, that kind of thing. So
you're kind of implying bullying. Are you saying you get bullied about this?
No. So not bullying, but more like, what's the word? Negative energy, I guess you
can say. Get that. I do get that, because I just
come from those above.
I literally just texted these two last night, and I was like, God, investors make me resentful. And the reason, I literally said in the next breath, because I'm jealous of them. And it's literally like, it's not like I see someone successful and I'm mad they're successful. It's more like it gets me down about my own like abilities, my own circumstances. And you're like, it just feels like the barrier of entry got really high for you suddenly when you see someone who's just killing it. So like, I get how like some teenagers and younger people, or even adults, like shitty old me, like kind of have those feelings that bubble up where they're like, you know, like, shit, someone's like killing it at this and I don't even know how to get in. So I don't like them. So like, I do get that attitude, in, not to say it's right at all. It's like an attitude you have to identify and be like, that's dumb. You need to overcome it and buy Teen Investing, the book. Because I literally was thinking, as you lifted that up and as you said, like, have a number that you can feel excited about seeing the returns come in. That's a tip I've never received, and I'm 33 years old, and it makes so much sense. Like, I've never done that, and it makes so much fucking sense. And I'm like, why has nobody told me that ever? I was 8 once. No one told me that when I was 8.
Only you read the book when you were younger.
Yeah, I'm like, people 33 should get the book.
Teen Investing, the book.
Go get it on Amazon, folks. Teen Investing.
Yeah, right, it is on Amazon. I'll pull up the
your
page.
Next book should be called Teens Giving Advice to Adults.
Yeah, adults who are mentally teens when they're investing.
Right. I gotta try and figure out an angle for my next book, which is going to be like young people, but I don't know what to use for that.
Well, I mean,
a baby boomer.
Frankly, I mean, you can kind of transcend that, because I think that there's an element of having done this and having experienced the things that a teen investor experiences uniquely as a teen, what you have learned through that, and then what kind of you can take into your adulthood. Because I do think that there's a lot of these kind of things, like what you just said, right? Where, you know, there's negative energy is a thing that I think can permeate a lot of different avenues. And it I think taking that into the idea of investing and kind of what you learn from a different what you learn as people give you feedback on being a teen investor, I think is really interesting. Because I think if you just go into it being like young adult investing and be like, well, now you're starting to get into like investing. It's no longer
that's
like
the thing. Like,
young,
there's so many books written about investing. I can't just like call it
Right.
investing. There's like a million other books written about investing.
Totally.
So I got to try and figure out some way to angle it for young people. But yeah, I'm still working on the title. And then,
or not. I mean, it could be. I mean, I think that there's a lot of angles that you can take. I think that it doesn't have to just be investing. It doesn't have to just be financial advice. I think there's a lot of life advice to be gained.
Personal finance.
Talking about.
Yeah, you're totally
right. And also finance. I mean, I have a big lofty question that I do not think any of us is going to be able to answer, but this is the biggest thing I constantly am thinking about when I think about investing these days. So I studied economics at school, love economics. I'm like an armchair economist and just like love doing that stuff. I do not think a 3 to 5% post-industrial revolution growth expectancy is realistic for eternity, and I think eventually it's going to bottom out and we're not going to know what to do about it. So that's my big issue, I think, with a lot of.
That's what everybody says. Like, oh, there's a crash coming. There's a crash coming. But
but I don't know if I would call it a crash as much as I would call it we have an unsustainable expectation of how growth works as a society, and we're going to run into some wild broken window fallacy shit with how we handle it, right? Where I think that we're going to see collapses of other industries as a way to make other industries go up, and we're just going to run into like a potentially toxic cycle of economics. But that's me. That's me being like I love this shit from college, and now I'm just like getting into this like conspiracy world of how the global financial system works. But before, I don't know if we want to entertain that because that's a whole different conversation. I would love to talk about some of the posts on investing while we still have time and get your initial take on some of these things, because investing, we're probably going to talk about our investing again because it's just such a colossal sub. And I think it's interesting because it's kind of been, in a way, it's been the like more mature, less interesting older brother to Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets, of course, famously GME and everything that we've seen over the last couple months. Investing, however, is kind of the original. It is the principle of investing. It's not meme investing. And so what I would like to do is just go over a couple of these posts, get your initial take. You don't have to have the answer, of course, but just the way your head is moving as you're kind of seeing these things go. So the big one this past week, and we'll focus on the week because I think this is, everything happens so fast. The big one this past week is Tesla deciding to no longer accept Bitcoin payments. And the top post is 23% of Tesla's Q1 earnings were from Bitcoin trading, and they would have missed those earnings otherwise. So what does that do to their stock? Actually, the top 3 posts are all about Tesla. So what's your perspective on Tesla right now?
So I hate to be a contrarian here again to the Reddit people, but I'm not a huge fan of Tesla. I mean,
well, you're not new. I mean, or you're not that's not necessarily novel. I think the top 3 are all saying, actually, top 4
are saying negative things about Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Tesla's a really overhyped company. I think it's benefiting a ton from like the Musk pull up, just like when Musk tweets about Dogecoin, right. People buy it. Same thing with Tesla. There's just people that are Musk fans, do or die Musk fans, and they're just kind of inflating that price. They do own a lot of the electric car market. That's true. But they own such a tiny percentage of the car market, and yet they're worth like just as much as all the other car companies. So that seems like it's overvalued to me. So yeah, my thoughts on Tesla. I don't own Tesla myself, and I wouldn't recommend others own it. As far as 23% of their earnings coming from Bitcoin, and now they're no longer interested in Bitcoin, or they may sell off some of their Bitcoin holdings. I mean, that just kind of continues to show the same point that they're not making their earnings, and I don't think they're as valuable as people think they are.
Yeah, my take on Tesla is that they make a lot on Bitcoin, right? Which I think obviously if you're trading Bitcoin, you're making hand over fist if it continues going up. But they also have been making a lot on, I believe, the tax breaks from electric cars.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that I think they would be. I think almost all their profits come from the tax incentives.
Totally.
Hey, Jack, would you drive a Tesla?
No, I don't.
No, would you though?
Oh, would I?
Yeah.
I was in one like a few days ago. It's a cool car. I would definitely
They're
consider
kind of sleek. But you know what I've noticed is like a lot of them have vanity plates, and a lot of those vanity plates are super douchey. I saw one the other day, and it was Tessie number 3. And I was like,
yikes.
That's your classic Tesla owner.
gross.
That is, but that's really interesting because that is kind of that could be the damning of the company, quite frankly. It's
Yeah,
like
douchebag.
I have thought about this before. I'm like, I would love to own a Tesla, but I do not want to be seen driving it. Right? Which is,
If I could skin it like a Honda, I'd be
Right.
happy. I want it
but
to.
that's fascinating. I mean,
Tesla
that's a really
inside.
interesting. Well, you're also as a marketer, right? Because I think that this is a big thing about with these companies. And my take on Tesla is that when you're investing in Tesla, you are investing in Elon Musk, right? Like that is I think what you are, because SpaceX is not public. I think all of his other companies are none of them are public.
Yeah, boring.
So, yeah, boring's not public. So so the idea of investing in Tesla is just the idea of investing in kind of the suite of Tusk idea or of Musk ideas, which is, you know, good and bad, right? I think if somebody is like a really charismatic leader that you believe in, then, you know, the company, presumably you want the company to go up. There's very few CEOs that have obviously that level of prestige and kind of, you know, no CEOs are going on SNL, that's for fucking sure, right? So so I think that's kind of the interesting thing about him. But the other thing, so I know that Michael Burry of The Big Short reveals a $530 million bet against Tesla as another big topic here. What so I think he shorted it, right? Put options contracts in the first quarter worth. Do you want to explain a little bit about options contracts if you can?
I mean, yeah. Like, so Michael Burry, everyone knows him from the movie, obviously called the 2008 financial crisis. So he's right about one thing. Who's to say he wouldn't be right about a second thing? And I think he was right about something else related to Bitcoin or something like that too. I forget. It was something like a little while ago. Yeah, option contracts, super simple. What he's doing here, he's just betting against the company. He's using options as a way to buy people's or like sell a certain share at a certain price in the future in order sell the price at a higher price in the future in order, and then buy the price at a lower price in the future in order to make that spread. So basically he'd be benefiting from a decrease in stock price of the company. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He kind of agrees with me that Tesla is an overvalued company and doesn't really make a lot of sense to own. So I'm not a big Tesla fan. And I mean, but then again, I always thought Tesla was overpriced at $200 a share. So I've been historically right on Tesla, but it just seems to me like it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and their profits are not in correlation with the size of the company.
It feels a little bit like a tech company in like a co-working, the WeWork space, or even like you know, these companies are sort of like inflate their values based on hype, and then they just don't have the revenue stream to back it up eventually, because he only sells one thing. I mean,
yeah, Teslas make up 0.8% of the auto market.
Yeah, and like a Ford or like a bigger company, they have their hand in like a million different revenue streams, right? Like we don't even know. They're making parts for all kinds of things. So, you know, their stability in those companies versus a Tesla is just so up and down.
Yeah, Ford is 14.4%.
Okay.
Down from 20%.
God,
and you gotta imagine all those companies are kind of nipping at the heels in the electric market, because the technology is essentially free. It's out there, and they can just slowly creep into that scene and like.
And yeah, they already have all the distribution too. Like they
distribution,
they own the dealerships, and they could just easily put electric cars in those dealerships and get that out there to all their existing customers.
Very interesting. Hey, what do you do when you go to dinner with all your peon college teenager friends, and they're like, "I don't have any money, man. I'm out of cash." You're like, and they all look to you. You're like, see if the investor will buy us a couple steaks. What happens?
Trying to think like what would happen. Because that was more of my high school friends.
Yeah, get those dipshit high school friends. I used to be one. Come on. Hey, Jack, how about you spring for steaks tonight? What? Give us the breakdown how like the credit card roulette works.
Well, you know, to some extent, I was a nice friend. If there's a cookie or whatever, I would buy some cookies.
What a friend.
But you're a businessman. You can't be buying your friends shit all the time.
Yeah, it's not a charity.
I mean, you're totally right. I should have made them pay for it, but you know, more like I'm like, hey, you want to get cookies? Nah, I already spent my money for that. I'm like, all right, I'll just pay for it. So it was more like that. But yeah, most of the time when there's dinner, we split the check. I'm curious. This is an interesting thing. Do people still split the check in your generations, or do they divvy it up by what they order? Because my generation's all divvied up by what you order.
Oh,
No
man.
shit. Wow, interesting.
That's interesting. You know what? I remember literally the shift in my life between when we would all like write down on the back of the receipt, like, okay, my last name, and I got the salad and this thing. And like, there was like a shift in my mid-20s when everybody started to get their like full-time jobs, and it became kind of gauche to do that. So it, like, even though like deep down, like as it was changing, we all still like were like, I only got a fucking salad, Sally. Like, but you were embarrassed to do it. But we still like, I'm 33 and I'm not like, guys, I got it this time. I know we do a weekly dinner. It's not, we don't do that. But I'll be like, oh, want to split it? Like halfway down.
And I will say typically every group of friends has one friend who over orders, over drinks, and then wants to pay less. And basically the repercussion is that person just gets shit talked behind their back all the time, consistently. So just know that if you're doing that, you're also being made fun of.
It's funny that some things just don't change.
It's true, man.
Also, just so much awkwardness at the table, like whenever you talk about who's paying for what, and they're like, oh, well, I only had a bite of your thing, and I'm paying. I want to pay for half of that. It's like the same conversations over and over, and then it's like you're supposed to be there with your friends, like having fun, and then like the money makes it so awkward.
Oh, of course. I mean, one thing that does happen. So this is an interesting, an interesting ripple in this too. Is people love. I will hear people often just put all of it on one card and then split it up later and say, "Who wants the points? Who wants the points on the credit card?"
Yeah.
Like, you want it? All right, here you go. You put your card out, and then we'll all Venmo
you $20. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the most common thing now, which I think is really interesting in terms of like a behavior of credit cards and again optimizing your spending.
Yeah.
Right? Where
that's assuming that the restaurant takes a Gap card though. Because if they don't, then I'm shit out of luck.
You're 32% APR. Yeah.
So, Doug, what were you going to say before I interrupted you? Sorry.
One time, this is a really bad story, and I won't tell you who my employer was at the time, but I was at a group dinner that did not include a client in another state, and I was like, fuck, I don't have enough credit on my personal credit card. So I looked around the table and I was like, no one needs to know clients weren't here tonight, right, guys? Mm-hmm. Whip out the company card, boop, and I got away with it too.
Oh, that's
you're gonna get arrested.
To go to one of those investment banker dinners.
See, I've got
them. Oh my God, the amount of money they spend in one dinner. I mean, I think they started to cut down on it more with COVID and stuff. COVID just changed everything, because like after COVID, now it seems to be like, well, it worked for us during COVID, so now we're not doing it again.
Right.
Totally.
But yeah, apparently some of these investment bankers, if you think that's bad, it's probably like a couple $100 to dinner.
Right.
When they take their clients out to dinner, it's like thousands of dollars for just the wine.
Dude, right? And like I felt so bad doing it. And then someone was like, are you kidding me? Like, salespeople have like a $15,000 like budget for bullshit every month. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, I guess I used to go
to New York in the pre 2008, from 2000 to 2008. My friend's older brother worked at Morgan Stanley, and we would go out there. We were like kids, I have like $100, and these guys were older, and they were very nice to us, and they would take us out to these dinners. And to me, it was like mind blowing as far as like the amount of things that people would spend money on. I mean, I'm talking like, a $10,000 dinner was no big deal with like a group of people. And as a kid, not having any money and being on the receiving end of it was the greatest thing in my life. And you're just like chugging $400 bottles of wine all night. And then after 2008, they cut all that shit out. And they're like, we can't do that anymore. So I feel like I got lucky. I was part of the scam, the receiving side of it. I got some trickle down economics, as they say.
As they say,
man, I was
beneficiary of Reaganomics.
I was a beneficiary of a little Reaganomics there, and we were throwing truffles at the wall, dude. I mean, we didn't give a shit, man.
We didn't give a shit.
I mean,
It was
probably
salad
a good
days.
thing to be. And that's just New York City for you. There's just so much money going
Totally.
around. Everyone's just making. The restaurants are making hand over fist. The investment bankers making money hand over fist. The clients are making. Everybody, it just seems like a win-win until 2008 happens.
Well, and it's also, I think that the COVID thing is interesting with this too, because now we're seeing, inflation is an interesting issue. Now we're seeing a lot of the conversation around minimum wage again. I think, which is gonna be a fascinating ripple in all this. And I'm very curious as to what happens after this, because even things like real estate holdings are going to be fundamentally different. Because if people aren't going back to the office, then what are we doing with all this space, right?
Well, that's the office.
Obviously,
office real estate.
Totally, and yeah, of course. I mean, there's other real estate that's it's in its own bizarro problem, but yeah, I mean, I think it's. I mean, we're facing an interesting time with this. So here's another one, probably maybe one or two more from the sub, just to like wet our whistle here. So, why do passive investors frequently say past performance does not guarantee future results?
This guy's just being a smartass, but
right.
But I would
they
say
also say to invest in index funds.
Yeah, well, passive performance does not guarantee future results, because that's the thing that has to be written on every single investment prospectus that's ever been written since the beginning of time. Like, if you look at any, like Blackstone made a video and they made like a Christmas video. And yeah, anyway, that's just everyone in the industry. That's the thing to say. And then, yeah, as far as like investing in the S&P 500, that has produced an annual return over 10% over 50 years. And yeah, it doesn't guarantee future return, but it's like, it's also not so correlated to one company, just like the average of the top 500 companies. So yeah, I feel pretty strong that the S&P 500 is going to continue to return around 10% a year. Also, one thought you said about inflation, it's interesting to think about now, what percent of the stock market's bull run is just because of inflation? Like, it's just kind of keeping up with inflation.
Totally.
I think there's definitely something to be said there. Like, I think we're looking at something like 4% inflation this year, or something crazy like that. 40% of the dollars were printed in the last year. So that means that if people don't invest their money in other asset classes, they're going to lose 4% that year. So to what extent is like the market just going up 5% just to keep up with inflation? And then after that is just additional. So yeah, two interesting things to think about. But anyway, yeah, that guy with that comment is he's just being like, oh, why do people have this certain attitude, but then invest their money in the S&P?
Right.
It seems pretty obvious that like if something's made 10% over the last 50 years, it's going to continue to make a similar kind of return, especially if it's across 500 companies over the next 50 years.
Yeah, and I think the S&P 500 is an interesting one too, because if we're talking averaging that out, I mean, this is another one that I know my financial investors talked to me a bit about this past week. Is so reckoning for tech 2021 IPOs, Coinbase, DoorDash, Bumble, Wish, and Coupang record all-time low stock prices this week. So I've heard a lot about this too, where stocks in tech are just fucking plummeting right now for whatever reason. And this is, I think, another one as it pertains to the S&P 500. I think most of these are probably not in the S&P 500 because they're too small. But the idea of there being a tech company in the S&P 500 that dips while something that's a little more traditional goes up. Oop. Did I lose you guys?
No, absolutely.
Oh, we're here.
Oh, interesting. Hold on one second. So I do think it's like an interesting byproduct of like, what does this all mean? That suddenly we're seeing stocks go down in tech, but go up in other things, and vice versa. Because that's kind of what the S&P does, right? It's 10%.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of balance each other out. Like when one tech stock takes a big hit, another kind of sector from another part of the world's gaining up. And on average, the top 500 companies in the U.S. are a good bet.
Are tech companies realizing that they have been...
I'm getting strange phantom sound, so if you carry on without me for a second.
Yeah, we cannot hear that. Are tech companies, have they been overinflated in their value? And now that everyone's working from home and like people... They're probably realizing there's a lot of fat they could potentially trim.
Some of them, yes. Like Amazon, I don't think is inflated at all.
No.
Google, probably not really inflated. They have so many companies besides Google that they own that just makes them an extremely valuable company. But yeah, some of the other smaller tech stocks, like I think Coinbase and some other ones, I think are definitely worth much more than they actually are.
Got it. Well, interesting. Is everybody good? I mean, I know Dog Boobs, you got to run here in a second.
Yeah, I got the old day job, which is not making me as much money as Jack, crawling up the back of my ass right now.
Those sons of bitches writing emails. It's your dad over there. Is seems like he's dumping all of his stock. Jack, what do you got going on today?
He's selling right now.
Are you off to class?
Sorry.
What did you say, Mr. Free Day?
Are you off to class? Or what do you got going on?
Yeah, I gotta run for. I have to call someone after this.
Yeah.
And so, are you? By the way, are you
Gotta move
studying? Are you studying finance in school, or are you studying something adjacent because you already know too much about
No,
finance?
he's studying feminine pottery. Something cool. Something college.
Funny you mentioned that. I did take an English class on feminism.
Oh,
That
nice.
was
Yeah,
the
Jack.
only English class. No, not by choice. That was the only English class that was left.
There's a lot of good literature in the
Yeah,
curriculum.
there
That's
is.
true.
There is.
Me and the other boy in that class had a.
Hey, that actually is like a good little strategy in and of itself.
It is
Yeah.
true. It is true.
Yeah, talk about a cha-ching, if you know what
Yeah,
I mean.
if you know what I mean.
my friend told me that he took a sex class,
Wow.
and he was the
Legendary.
only two boys.
These damn liberal arts schools.
Yeah.
Down at the
So-
Bunny Ranch. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess just leaving off. So yeah, here's my books for anyone who wants to go get them. You can find them on my Amazon author page. It's nice hanging with you guys today. Nice
Yeah.
chatting.
Ah.
Nice to meet all you in person.
Thank you.
A resident financial advisor / teen for a couple
Yeah,
more
you
years.
guys.
So we're probably going to call you again for any related things. We might have to get a hold of you about like TikTok or some fucking Zoomer shit.
Some
that we have to go
random,
into.
yeah.
Some
Gen Z
random
stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, by the
Have you
way-
heard of TikTok?
I have heard of TikTok. By the way, I'm studying finance in school to answer your question. I have
studying
heard
what?
of TikTok, and I have a TikTok account. So
Oh, hell yeah.
What did you say you were studying? You were studying finance?
finance, yeah, not because I need to learn anything. This kind of goes to we haven't even talked about the whole education system, but I'll touch on it
Right.
in a second.
Oh, man. That's episode 2.
Yeah, I know that's a whole nother episode. But college, like, I don't really look at it as I'm going to learn anything there. Which is like some teenagers hear me say that they're like, "What, are you crazy?" I literally told my friend on the first month of college, I'm like, I don't expect to learn a single thing here for the next 4 years. And he just literally drops his jaw, like total, like, oh my god, because he's like,
Oh, Lord.
And I'm like, I'm just literally here for the degree because that degree at the end of the day will give you a safe option in case I want one. So
Yeah.
great.
And
So that's really all I'm paying
people
for.
you meet, like the networking opportunities, like all that stuff is super helpful. And
That and the check mark of going to college, which we need whether we like it or not in today's world.
yeah, that's so true. Well, for everyone
Right.
listening and who are not watching the stream, check out Jack Rosenthal's books, Teen Entrepreneurship, Teen Investing, and Teen Investing 101 on Amazon. Even if you're not a teen, I know I'm going to check it out. I'm not a teen. And I've already gotten better advice on this episode than I've ever gotten from my dad. So no offense to my dad who's not listening to this.
Stick it, Dad. Stick it hard.
Stick it, Dad.
Love it. All right,
But
Jack.
thank
Well,
you
thank you
for
so much for
joining.
joining, man. We will absolutely be in touch with you. I know that we've barely scratched the surface of some of the things we talked about. So
Yep, sounds good. All right, looking forward
All
to
right,
coming
man.
back soon.
have a good
All
one.
right.
Thanks,
Thank
Jack.
you.
See you later.
Legend.
What a good guy.
Oh my God.
Kids these days.
What are kids eating that they are
Is it
getting
the
into
GMO?
finance? Like
I
what
mean,
in tarnation, man? Like
tarnation.
Maybe the
I was-
future
I
is
was-
bright. Yeah.
It may be.
relatively, I was ambitious when I was a kid, but I knew fucking nothing about
Right?
anything, dude. So
Ah, Lord.
I feel like even though I was into cool stuff and sagacious in my own way, I was like, I didn't know anything. So I'm like, I'm
Right.
just amazed that he knows what he knows. Cause I feel like
Yeah.
that's I think that's what makes him a star, man.
Yeah, man.
I hope, you know what I hope he does? Because I think this is kind of an implied question we kind of barely hinted at, but I think it's true, is like, I hope that I don't want him to get burnt out, but I do want him to eventually be like, conquered that mountain. Now I'm going to be doing this other thing that is important that nobody's doing. Not like I'm going to get really good at the thing that a lot of people do. You know what I mean?
I mean, he may be the next little Warren Buffett, and I think as he gets older, like that kind of money and stuff can hopefully open doors to do a lot of interesting and cool stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm gleaning from
buy
this.
Rosenstock.
is
frozen stock.
I mean, like speaking finance is definitely a language. It's like learning Spanish or English or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's hard to learn languages. And the younger you start, the easier it is. And they don't fucking talk about this shit at all until maybe you get to college.
Maybe.
And all of your previous schooling is, I would say now, emotional development mostly, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Versus the world is 100% revolves around money, and you don't learn shit about it. Unless you want to learn shit about it, then you can take those classes. I don't get what the fuck they're teaching, but they should be teaching what Jack's spewing. He should just like have a school for kids and just like get
like an X-Men
money.
School.
Yeah, I don't X-Men school for kids.
Yeah,
for money and kegging.
That rolls off the tongue. I think that's a really good name. I don't think we have to work on the name anymore. I think the name is sound.
That was a one and done
curriculum.
So
I also think that I mean, it's going to be interesting. Some of the topics we touched on. I mean, again, like I had mentioned, this is a very barely at most primer on investing. The investment subreddit is investing, right? Is about investing topics. It's not a meme thing like what Wall Street Bets is. This one is like, we are talking investing. We're into investment stuff. However, in terms of financial literacy, which I think is an interesting thing as well, like he knows the market.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about the other aspects of what goes into being like financial literacy, right? Which is how interest rates work for credit cards, mortgages, like all the things I think that go into the world of how to spend and spend money, etc. Because I think that's another part that I think is very different, right? It's like it's very easy to be like, well, it's not easy to know stocks by any means, but like it's that's one side of it. I think, understanding how to get a good deal on a house, understanding like why you have to say what you have to do when you're getting a car, how to make your credit score go up, to do all these other things. Those are a kind of a different ball game that are just as important, if not more important, for people that are trying to figure out themselves financially.
Very
true. That'll be a good class to start with when you're 12.
Yeah.
I mean, like that kind of credit card, interest rate, mortgage stuff.
That's what I want to do when I'm 12, is take a class on interest rates.
Be like, Mom,
I
don't want to.
Ready to get a lower interest rate. Ready to get a lower APR.
Woo!
Woo.
It seems more relevant than like American history. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sorry to say that.
Well,
I like history. I think it's fun, but it doesn't do you much.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that like
not exactly taught in school.
It's I was gonna say it's more relevant than certain topics for sure. I don't know if it's more relevant than like, I mean, because this is the thing about when you're in like high school, elementary through high school, like you are learning the basics of existing, right? So like, it is important to know, like, what would life be like if you did not take a history class and then someone was just like, yeah, when the Civil War happened, you're just like, what are you talking about? What Civil War? You'd be like, oh shit, okay.
What?
Where do I start? Right. So I do think that it's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're teaching you.
All right, guys, I gotta run.
You gotta run.
But peace out.
Peace, doggy. We're gonna be ending soon, so we'll end this conversation. Just two bros. But
I'm talking about tools for success in school. I don't know unless you're deriving some kind of insightful tool on how, like, what the Civil War was and why and how it can affect your life moving forward. I don't know what they're teaching, but like, what is the tool you're extracting from that historical lesson? I don't know if kids are savvy enough to pull that tool themselves versus like what do you get out of that?
Man.
I don't know.
Yeah, not everybody is going to be in a situation like Jack's where you have I don't know what he was born with that accommodated this. I mean, I think that we've, without turning him into a test subject, I mean, I had a bunch of other questions I think are kind of on the tip of my tongue about, like, does he play video games? Does he play sports? Does he try to fucking go after chicks? Like, all the things that high schoolers do. High schoolers, like, kind of like the typical systems that high schoolers kind of engage in. I feel like the amount of energy that you put into something like learning how to invest, for instance, that obviously substitutes for something else. And I'm curious what that thing is that substitutes. Because I kind of briefly hinted at it. I tried to suggest it, but I think he kind of like skirted the question, like bullying, right? where like I can imagine that he was different amongst his peers, and what does that mean in terms of how he evolves as going through his teenage years into his college years into his adulthood, right? Where like maybe he didn't play a shit ton of video games, right? Like maybe he just knew what he wanted from the start and went for it, and he might be one of those kids who graduates in 3 years, right? And then he's just like an adult.
Sounds
before
like he
was even
wants
a kid,
to, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and also I those kind of East Coast schools. I'm just generalizing, obviously, but like they seem to be better suited for piping kids into the system that he's moving into.
Totally.
Versus
100%.
like the schools in LA that are really expensive and hard to get into. It's all about pottery, man. It's all about clay work.
Totally.
There's no finance talk. And the schools where he's existing, I'm assuming there's probably more kids there talking about this stuff with families in this stuff, supporting this stuff. So there might be less bullying because it's actually supported by the community. Versus if you were that kid out in LA, maybe, at like the hardest at the whatever new roads, the crossroads or something.
Yeah, I know
you're like, I'm into investing. And they're like, let's throw clay on that guy's mouth and bully him because he's not an artist. There's like, that's
so clay at that guy's mouth. I agree. I mean, I do think that there's the West Coast proxy for Wall Street is Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
that's just the way it works, right? It's like the same mentality, the same kind of people. You're either if you're on the West Coast and you have that level of kind of like capitalist intention, you go into Silicon Valley, right? If you're on the East Coast with that level of capitalist intention, you go to Wall Street, right? And I think it's kind of two sides of the same coin.
If you're in LA, you join CAA.
You join CAA, you fucking get that big deal, you get the TikTok account, you get 1 million followers, like, subscribe, rate on iTunes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You find the next Katy Perry. She's still cool. She's still hip. I don't know.
She just had a kid, man. She's the coolest she's ever been.
Cool. Congrats.
But yeah, fascinating kid. I like that guy a lot, man. I'm glad he reached out. I want to talk to him more because I feel like there's a lot we didn't even talk about, and I think that it's funny because when we talk about investing, like I actually undercover am really into this shit. I don't know enough about it. I feel like you never know enough about it, and I don't do it professionally, so it's a little bit too recreational where I don't really. There's only so much I can do, but like there's a lot to really be interested in. I actually want to talk to him more about. I think he hit an interesting thing about what is he going to do when he can no longer be the teen investor, right? Because I think that that's going to be a whole different world for him that I think is really important, right? Which is when you attach your identity to being a teen and you grow out of that, what's his next thing? I really hope it's I actually would love to be like I would love to see his like what I learned as a teen investor type thing, right? Because I think that seems really interesting. Kind of.
I think you know how it is. You work in branding and storytelling, and he's cultivated a fantastic story platform for himself for the rest of his life.
100%.
He can always lean back and say, "I was this kid, and now I'm this guy," and he can make a joke out of it. And he's like, "I used to be a teen investor. Now I'm bald." But the point is, I've been doing this since I was 12, and I think people go like, "That's fucking cool." So he'll always be able to lean on that. His next book should just be like, "Start investing young." Or something like that. Something that's like a little more general. And I think as a parent with young kids, I'd see that title and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get my kids this book, and they'll fucking smoke weed out of it or something. They're not gonna like they're like throw it in the river. Like every dad is like buying their
the new fucking book bong, dad.
Yeah, the book bong, dude. Everyone on TikTok's making their books into bongs now. But like every parent's like, oh, I'm gonna get my kid this teen investor book, and they're gonna like, who knows what with it, but. So hopefully
lines of Smarties on it.
My kid right now is obsessed with the physical money. Like he really thinks cash is like amazing, and he loves carrying around a dollar and be like, check out this dollar. And it's like, hey man, like that's not cool. Like keep it under wraps. But I like that he's like into money. I'm like, okay, now I got to teach you how to make your own money so you can stop taking my money. That's the next
I do love that you're raising a pair of like Dan Bilzerians. You got like a couple. I love Guns N' Roses. I love trucks. I love money. Right.
I mean, they're naturally gravitating towards those things. Like we're not pushing any of it. It's really funny, actually. Like that's what they're into, or at least the first kid. The second kid's just watching what he's doing. But
I hope he catches on. The Guns N' Roses thing is so funny to me. It's the most hilarious thing.
There's a clay ball at his preschool that we paid for because they all have clay, like their own little personal clay stacks.
Yeah, they're
I'm like, hey man,
Crossroads preschool.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I keep every day I go, hey man, when are you making me my cereal bowl? Like I want that cereal bowl. I keep asking him for it, and he's like, I'm not that into clay, and I'm like, yes, he's not into clay. You know, like it's a test.
Dad, I'm into rock, not clay.
Yeah, I'm into rock and cash. Okay. Cool.
Amazing. All right. Well, we're going to end this one out. Jack Rosenthal, teen investing extraordinaire. I love that.
What a great
man.
kid.
I hope we talk to him again. He's
Cool
not
guy.
a kid, man. I don't, we can call him a kid all day long, but listen, man, he's a mature, he's a man.
Don't squash his brand. Fella. He likes being called a young youth. He needs to shave his beard. He aged down.
He's got to like, I mean, that's going to be the next step for him. But hopefully we'll be talking to Jack again. I think that he's an interesting character. If he ever gives us his time, he's already pricing us out, to be honest. So
yeah.
But yeah, our investing, we will visit it again. This is going to be one that we just kind of go back to over and over again, and we barely even scratch the surface, obviously, if at all. But if you're into investing and you kind of want the hot tips, our investing is kind of a good move. If you want the fucking meme lols, go to Wall Street Bets. Different cultures entirely.
Kind of. If you're 30 industry and you want to get into investing, I mean, the teen investing angle is probably a good way to just like understand it from a simplistic side of the coin. I mean, it's not going to come at you with like adult speak. It's going to come at you with kid speak. You know, just hide it when your friends come over.
Yeah, narrated by Jake Paul. The audiobook narrated by Jake Paul.
Man, let's talk about making money, man. That's how Jake Paul sounds.
I hate that guy so much. He's the fucking worst.
Isn't he the worst?
All right, well, this is Did You Reddit, a weekly podcast about the internet by way of Reddit, the front page of the internet. My name is It's Your Dad.
My free day for dog boobs, and it's your dad. And that's
dog boobs. Dog boobs is a multitude of dogs. Gap credit cards, Sims, buttresses. Listen to Guns N' Roses. Carry around cash. Hate pottery. That's where we're going to end with today.
Bye.
Bye.